was insane. They broke the damn ring. But welcome to Hot Takes. After every single episode of Monday Night Raw, I ask you over on X at Conman167 what your opinion of the show was and to submit all of your hot takes, predictions, and thoughts about WWE. And you had a lot to say about this episode, so we're not going to waste any of your time. But before we begin, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Turn those notifications on so you never miss another upload, because we literally upload wrestling videos every single day. Now, here's what you had to say. Braun versus Bronson was one of the best matches of the year. This is not really that hot of a take. Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed in a last monster standing match was absolutely incredible. About 30 seconds into the match, they put Bronson Reed through a damn table. He rose at the count of 6, and it was on, man. The locking of the eyes between the two monsters was insane going to commercial break. And then when we got back, the action just continued, whether it be Bronson Reed going through a bunch of steel chairs, whether it be Bronson Reed delivering an insane Death Valley driver through tables, whether it be them going through the barricade into the front row of the people in the arena. It was just one of the most insane matches and probably should have been on a PLE. And that is kind of the conversation right now with WWE. Is Triple H putting too many of these PLE quality matches on free TV? Well, if that's our main issue, this is a great thing to complain about. Let's face it, there was a time there in WWE when we were watching poor matches that we had seen 2, 3, 4 times before that, where they were given 5 minutes to go out to the ring and literally nothing was accomplished. Now we're building up stories in the middle of the card and having the main event episodes of Monday Night Raw to the point where fans are literally saying, why is this not on a PLE? The build is so good, this deserves to be on a premium live event. But when we're getting great free TV like this, how can we complain? It was an absolutely incredible main event, and I want to see more matches like this get like a 3-4 week build and main event Monday Night Raw. It's something WWE's been doing very well lately, and I hope they continue into the 2-hour episodes of Monday Night Raw. Which, by the way, this was the final episode of Monday Night Raw, being 3 hours for the rest of the year. It's going to go to 2 hours now, so hopefully everything will be fine. Hopefully everybody's still going to get time on the show. I'm a little concerned, as I'm sure you are at home, but hey, overall, this was such a great match between Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. They crushed it, and they deserve all the praise that they're getting. This should happen at Survivor Series. Talking about the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther versus Bron Breakker and what that could look like if it did take place at Survivor Series. Honestly, they teased it on Monday Night Raw, and I am so down for it. I don't know who wouldn't be. This transition to babyface Bron Breakker is money for WWE. Like, they are literally about to print bucket loads of cash because of this man. The dogs are already barking in the arena, and you just love what Bron Breakker is bringing to the table. We know what he's about to be like. We've seen him in NXT. We know how babyface Bron Breakker acts, and he truly is a badass. Granted, this is an evolution of his character. It's no longer just like, hey, I'm a good guy with the NXT championship. This is like a mean son of a bitch who is going to rip your head off if he can, but he also has this level of respect that he's gaining for the business. It's the right move turning him babyface, and with this big money match between him and Gunther on the horizon, why wouldn't you lean into it? But the question here is, like, should this happen at Survivor Series? It probably shouldn't. Something tells me that we're actually building to Sami Zayn versus Gunther still at Survivor Series, even with Sami Zayn getting the World Heavyweight title match on Monday Night Raw next week. It still feels like they are moving towards Sami Zayn versus Gunther in Canada for the World Heavyweight title. It's the right call. I mean, Sami Zayn is going to get a big hometown reaction. I mean, it's crazy. Canada is massive, and somehow the west coast of Canada still feels like it's your hometown, even when you're from Montreal or Toronto or wherever, right? Like, Sami Zayn is not from Vancouver, but he's gonna get a hometown reaction. Us Canadians are weird like that. We hear somebody's from our country, we're like, oh, we love you. Meanwhile, it's literally the second largest piece of land in the world. But regardless, after Sami Zayn and Gunther does take place, if that takes place at Survivor Series, this is probably the perfect match to take place at the Royal Rumble. They're gonna need time to get Bron Breakker truly over as a babyface, and I think it's going to happen in due time. But if you rush into a World Heavyweight title match at Survivor Series, you run the risk of having fans get sour on Bron Breakker, and you definitely don't want that to happen. Plus, with the Royal Rumble, you have the actual Rumble matches that can take away a little bit of the sting for an L. So let's say Bron Breakker does lose this match against Gunther at the Rumble. It wouldn't hurt him that bad. It would actually elevate him to the main event scene. So I'm down for this match. It's something we need to see. They teased it on Raw, so it's only a matter of time. But I think Survivor Series is just a little too soon. go to the Royal Rumble. Best Seth Rollins return of all time, and that match was the match of the year on Raw. It's so great to see Sethy Poo back in WWE. I know he was only gone for 2 months, but his presence was sorely missed. He truly is a main event player, and every time Seth Rollins is on the screen, it just makes the TV that much better, and the ending of the show, bringing him back into the feud with Bronson Reed, is just a great move for WWE. Now, I'm a little taken back because I thought Seth Rollins was going to return at Bad Blood in the Hell in a Cell match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, costing CM Punk the match, giving Drew McIntyre the win, and elevating that feud between Punk and Rollins and maybe becoming a mainstay going into the new year. But that doesn't look like that's the direction we're moving in anymore. I'm going to have to redo my Bad Blood predictions video if I really want to have an accurate prediction, but at this rate, Rollins being back in WWE is far better than him not. It's great to see him on TV, and he elevates literally everybody around him. And if WWE's goal is to make Bronson Reed a main event player, having him feud with Seth Rollins is not a bad thing at all. Rollins and Reed are probably going to put on a banger of a match, and as a result, Bronson Reed is going to be viewed in this whole other category. They've done great work elevating him to this upper mid-card level, but there is a true, honest possibility that Bronson Reed could be a main event player after this feud with Seth Rollins. If you told me Bronson Reed and Rollins had a great feud for a couple of months, and Bronson Reed gets a win over Rollins, geez, man, why couldn't he go towards the World Heavyweight title? Him versus Gunther is a money match. Hell, if Bron Breakker was the guy who took the title from Gunther, Bron Breakker versus Bronson Reed would be a money match. I can see how Bronson Reed would be so beneficial to WWE as a whole by elevating him to that upper mid-card main event scene, and they're doing a great job so far with him, so I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be successful there. But it's great to have Rollins back. Welcome back, Sethy Poo. You were sorely missed. The CM Punk Drew McIntyre segment was a great reminder that you don't have to touch to have a super effective go-home segment. You could just cut the tension with a knife here between Punk and McIntyre. This segment was absolutely incredible. The visual of Hell in a Cell down around them while they're in the ring with security was just such a great move. Drew McIntyre was just seething with anger, but Punk wasn't willing to say a word until the microphone was put in his hand. He let Drew speak all of his garbage, but Punk was focused on one thing, kicking Drew McIntyre's ass. And he is so close to it as well. He knows he's just a few short days away from being locked inside that cell, and he was so focused on getting revenge. Now, I am still concerned about CM Punk in this match. I'm honestly concerned about both of them. It feels like both Drew McIntyre and Punk need the win in this thing. And like I previously said, I was kind of expecting Seth Rollins to return at this match, return at Bad Blood, and cost CM Punk the match inside Hell in a Cell. But now that he's back feuding with Bronson Reed, it feels more likely that Punk is going to get this win, and it's going to be clean, which then has me incredibly concerned for Drew McIntyre. Because Drew feels like he's on a path back to the World Heavyweight Championship, and a loss inside Hell in a Cell doesn't necessarily scream that he is going to get that opportunity anytime soon, especially with Bron Breakker and Sami Zayn around this World Heavyweight title. And if Punk wants to go after the World Heavyweight Championship, what's next for Drew McIntyre? And literally saying all of this out loud makes me feel like Drew McIntyre needs the win more than CM Punk does. Obviously, CM Punk is on one of his final runs in WWE, and he has come back for a reason, and I don't think he's just here to put over talent. I do believe he wants that WrestleMania main event, and whether that be facing Gunther for the World Heavyweight title, whether that be facing Seth Rollins as just a random WrestleMania main event match, one-on-one, a bitter hatred feud. Who knows what they're going to do with Punk, but him losing here doesn't necessarily stop him from getting to the World Heavyweight title. Drew McIntyre losing here feels like it does stop him from getting to that championship. Now, you could also say Punk with the L right here won't do him any favors, and he's taken enough L's already on WWE's roster since coming back. So, it wouldn't really elevate him to that world championship picture. And you might be right with that, but it's so interesting to see here where we're going with this feud. Part of me feels like we really do need a screwy finish. A lot of people say that this needs to be a clean end to this feud, but why? Why does it? We have two top stars who should push up towards the main event scene moving into the new year. Neither of them can really afford a loss. So how do you get out of it? How do you move past this? Well, maybe they do put Seth Rollins into this spot. Maybe Seth Rollins is not only focused on Bronson Reed, but he's also still focused on CM Punk. And that would be an easy way to get Drew McIntyre over and give him the dub. Regardless of how this happens, I'm excited for this match, and it's gonna be a banger. The blue in the IC title. Oh man, Jey Uso's Intercontinental Championship looks so good with the blue. I love how he sort of paid homage to Umaga with the blue Intercontinental Championship, and literally paying homage to everybody who came before him with a touch of the blue in that title. But it just works for Jey Uso, and I feel like I'm a little bit underdressed here for this segment. Let's get the glasses on. Yeet. But Jey Uso just elevated the IC title to a whole new level. No offense to everything that has happened beforehand, but this feels like it's the most important it's been since Gunther held onto the championship back at WrestleMania 40. But the promo from Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw was just magical, speaking right from the heart to the fans, saying thanks for being with me through all these years. It was 14 long years before this man captured the IC title. 14 long years before he ever held on to singles gold. Jey Uso absolutely deserves it, and it was so much fun to watch him cutting that promo, talking from the heart, talking to the fans directly. It was great. And then add in Bron Breakker turning face right here, coming out congratulating Jey Uso. You just gotta love the sign of respect, and it really does feel like Jey Uso's about to go on a really strong run with the IC title. Issuing open challenges on Monday Night Raw, giving the first opportunity to Kofi Kingston, who gave it to Xavier Woods. It's gonna be a great TV match between the two there, and there's gonna be a lot of story still with the New Day coming out of that. But Jey Uso himself feels like a main event player as IC champion. He feels like somebody who is going to main event a lot of Monday Night Raws coming up. And part of me thinks he's not going to go over to SmackDown and be involved with the Bloodline feud over there for War Games. It just feels like WWE is committed to making Jey Uso a single star, and they don't want to touch what's going on over there in the Bloodline. They're like, we finally made this guy. We finally made him a true main event player. Why would we go back in time? Now, granted, everybody here wants to see him reunite with Roman and Jimmy and maybe Cody Rhodes over there. It would be great, don't get me wrong, but WWE is committed to Jey Uso right now, and I hope he has a very strong run with the IC Championship. If this match doesn't main event Bad Blood, we riot. They deserve the main event. This is obviously a hot topic right here, the main event of Bad Blood. Should it be Cody and Roman versus Jacob and Solo, or should it be Drew McIntyre and CM Punk in Hell in a Cell main eventing the show? It is a tough one because it all depends on what's going to happen after the match. Are we going to see something with the Bloodline? Are we going to see a big return? Like, is Jimmy Uso coming back? Is The Rock coming back? Is somebody else debuting? Who knows what other Samoan is out there that could possibly debut? Like, is that the direction we're going in for the ending of Bad Blood? Or is the ending of Bad Blood just going to be like a stare down between Cody and Roman? If that's the case, if we're just going down that path with a stare down, I don't think that should be the main event. It absolutely should be Drew McIntyre and CM Punk in Hell in a Cell. It is easily the feud that has the most amount of hatred between it, and when it's a Hell in a Cell match, why wouldn't you have it close out your show? Literally the only reason this shouldn't be the main event is if there is something massive happening with the Bloodline story. And even then, you can argue that that could kick off the show and set the tone for the rest of the night and still give these guys their main event slot that they absolutely deserve. It is the third match in a trilogy of excellent matches from WWE, and if they really want to send this thing home as like an all-time feud, it should main event Bad Blood. It's not like this is WrestleMania. It's not like it's Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, or Survivor Series. This is just one of your B-tier level pay-per-views. And if you're not going to have one of your most famous structures main event the show, then I feel like you're missing out. So again, the only way that this shouldn't main event is if there is something massive going on with the Bloodline story. What a great ending. I absolutely love how they are walking the line, teasing a heel Woods without a full turn. Yeah, shout out to Xavier Woods throughout this entire feud. The way that he's playing this character of not being fully a heel, but not fully a babyface, slowly losing his mind, and taking advantage of opportunities that are in front of him, like Rey Mysterio accidentally losing his mask in the match. Why would he deny himself a win? Why wouldn't he roll him up at that point? You might not like it, but Xavier Woods is absolutely doing the right thing for Xavier Woods. Remember, this is a guy who hasn't held on to singles gold within the New Day. We've seen Big E rise up, become WWE champion. We've seen Kofi Kingston become WWE champion. But Xavier Woods, the only thing he has for himself is he was king of the ring for 2 weeks before Roman stole his crown. down. I'm actually surprised Xavier Woods hasn't snapped already. This dude has had a long, tough go in WWE, and he's ready to break through as a single star. He's tired of other people getting opportunities when he's just the cheerleader, when he's just the guy on the sideline saying, "New Day rocks." He's tired of playing his trombone. He's tired of being the guy with the fruity pebbles. That's John Cena. They had Bootios. That's right. He's tired of being the guy who is just out there with unicorn horns. He wants to be taken seriously. And Xavier Woods is doing everything right to be taken seriously. Look, Kofi Kingston is out here giving up opportunities for him. He's giving up an opportunity for the IC title, so Xavier Woods has something to do. But what if Xavier Woods loses that IC title match and Kofi Kingston is upset because he gave him that opportunity? He's like, you cost yourself an opportunity at the IC title, and it was my opportunity that I gave you. Like, what the hell, dude? You couldn't actually capitalize on anything? And it will be even crazier if Kofi Kingston is the guy who maybe costs Xavier Woods the match. In fact, I was speaking this on Hot Takes just a couple weeks ago, where I said that Odyssey Jones and Kofi Kingston might actually be the heel duo of this feud. Now that Odyssey Jones is gone, it feels a little less likely, but a heel Kofi Kingston is very intriguing, and Xavier Woods, man, as a babyface fighting against a heel Kofi Kingston might be money. But if I was a betting man, it really does feel like Xavier Woods is going to be the guy turning heel. I hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle once he does turn heel, because he's a great talent, and I would love to see more of him moving up the card. Like, I'd love to see him and Jey Uso have a full-on feud between them for the IC title. It would be great TV, and Xavier Woods deserves all the opportunities he can get. So yeah, shout out to Xavier. He's crushing it. Not gonna lie, I thought the Miz heel turn could have been used for later. This one shocked me as well. Miz turning heel on R-Truth really did feel like it was rushed along and happened very, very quickly. WWE lately has been doing the slow play for the heel turns. They've been dragging it out. They've been dragging it through months and months of storytelling, and R-Truth just comes back and Miz turns on him. Like, it was very quick. But this is where we have to applaud WWE's booking, because they really are keeping us on our toes. We can't predict when these heel turns are going to happen, because they either get dragged out for 8 months or they happen a week after they're teased. And Miz right here is the prime example of someone who listened to something Karrion Kross was saying and just decided to pull the trigger. He's not waiting around for a year. He's not waiting around for 2 years for his opportunity. He just said, you know what? Screw this. I see R-Truth right here. I don't want to be viewed as a comedy character anymore. I want to be taken seriously. I'm a former WWE champion. I beat John Cena at WrestleMania. Why wouldn't he be taken seriously? Why wouldn't he want to get back to the mountaintop? And it was so incredibly obvious Miz would never get back to the mountaintop with R-Truth as his tag team partner. Now that he's shed R-Truth, now that he's shed the jokes and all of the funny business, it feels like Miz can now become focused on what matters. Maybe that's the IC title again. Maybe that's the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe him and Karrion Kross tag together to become tag team champions. Who knows? But Miz has gold in his future, and he's done playing games with R-Truth. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not feeling this Judgment Day versus Terror Twins feud anymore. It's been about 3 months, and they're still doing the same old beatdown angle over and over again. They've overdone it so much, it should end at Bad Blood. Yeah, I think a lot of people are on the same page as you with this one right here. They're tired of the Terror Twins versus Judgment Day, and they're ready to see something fresh for both Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. It has been a little repetitive seeing the end of Monday Night Raw being the Judgment Day beating them down for the last couple of months. There's been a little back and forth. The Terror Twins are incredibly over, but it has been a little bit of rinse and repeat with this storyline. I do feel like it's one of those storylines that is just waiting on the pay-per-view match, and we just had to get there, and they can't just cut promo after promo after promo. They actually have to have some sort of physicality, because this feud is so bitter, it's so vile. Like, the fact that Dominic Mysterio turned his back on Rhea Ripley, cheating with Liv Morgan. Dude, I mean, I get why WWE has been featuring this on TV week after week, adding heat to these segments. The goal is to get Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest over as a babyface, and that doesn't just happen overnight. Like, remember, these were two of the people that WWE built up as mega heels for the better part of 2 years. Sure, people love Damian, people love Rhea, but you got to continue to get them to be loved. And doing these beatdown angles, while they're not always the most entertaining to watch on TV, they do serve a purpose. They do serve a reason as to why they are getting beat down, and that is to try to get more fans behind them. That way, when you tune into the pay-per-view, or the PLE match, I should say, you are going to be firmly behind Damian Priest, because you want to see Damian Priest finish this story and end Finn Balor. Just like you want to see Rhea Ripley finish the story against Liv Morgan, enter and bring back that Women's World Championship. But here's the thing, if this feud does continue after Bad Blood, don't be surprised in the least. Rhea Ripley, if she wins the Women's World title back, certainly is going to continue to feud with Liv Morgan. And if Liv Morgan retains the championship in some sort of shady way, whether it be Raquel Rodriguez coming back or whether it's Dominic Mysterio distracting her from the shark cage and Liv Morgan walks out as champion, then the feud is going to continue there as well. But the main thing needs to be moving Damian Priest away from the Judgment Day. He's a main event talent caught in a bit of a mid-card feud, and we got to find a way to elevate him back to the top. Damian Priest needs to break free. He needs to beat Finn Balor. Rhea Ripley, on the other hand, it's not the worst thing that she's challenging for the Women's World title, and if she happens to challenge again in the future, I think I'll be okay with it. But we need something fresh. We need something new added to this feud if this is going to go beyond Survivor Series into Royal Rumble season. Great show. Raw is the A show. Who would have thought us saying this 5 years ago when we had to suffer through Vince's horrendous booking? Yeah, WWE has come a long way in just a few short years, and we got to give all the credit in the world to Triple H and his booking along with the team, but also we got to give credit to the production team. Lee Fitting and his team have done an amazing job. WWE's social media team has done an incredible job building up this aura around WWE. Everybody in this company is working together to produce some excellent TV. And for the first time in years, it feels cool to be a wrestling fan. It actually feels enjoyable to watch the show. I don't feel embarrassed when I'm out here telling my friends that I watch pro wrestling or that I work in pro wrestling for a living. It used to be embarrassing, man. I've been doing this since 2016. And tell you what, back in 2016, I did not let the world know that this is what I did for a job. I was very quiet about it because, let's be real, wrestling was embarrassing a few short years ago. But now, I'm not trying to give a shout out to Santi Zap or anything, but wrestling is cool, man. It really is. Once again, it's so much fun to watch. Tell your friends to watch Monday Night Raw. Tell them to watch Friday Night SmackDown, even if it's just the clips on TikTok or Instagram. Check it out because you are missing something excellent right now. This is great TV. After tonight's show, I truly think Raw is going to be just fine being 2 hours. So many stories to tell. We are going to be well entertained. Well, I do think we're going to get some good 2-hour shows from Monday Night Raw. I am personally a little concerned that the amount of time that some lower card acts are going to get is going to be reduced heavily. I think about how much time has been put into Bronson Reed over the last few weeks, the time that's been put into the PFC. Now we've got Lyra Valkyria being featured on TV. These are acts that I could see, unfortunately, falling down the card and getting some of their time cut. It's not fair, right? But when you have 3 hours of TV, you obviously have that whole extra hour to get more wrestlers on, allow them to put together great matchups. Go out there, like the LWO has been putting on great 6-man tag matches lately. I don't think they're going to be featured all that much once it goes down to 2 hours. So we do lose an element of the show that has been making Monday Night Raw so incredibly entertaining and has kind of separated itself from Friday Night SmackDown as a result. The fact that SmackDown feels a bit of a chore to watch sometimes and it's only 2 hours is because the way the show flows is very commercial heavy and not a lot of in-ring action. Like outside of Andrade and Mello, the in-ring action on SmackDown is very, very little compared to what happens on Monday Night Raw. Like these casual 15-minute matches between LWO and Judgment Day, or these last monster standing matches that we're seeing, or seeing, Zoe Stark versus Lyra Valkyria. I don't know if they happen if WWE goes down to 2 hours. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, and I'm hoping that WWE has a great game plan to execute these 2 hours of Monday Night Raw, because it can be done. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that Raw is going to all of a sudden become a bad show simply because we don't get to see Lyra Valkyria versus Zoe Stark, but at the end of the day, that's how we build up feuds for the future, and sometimes with 2 hours, you end up not getting enough of a build for future matches. Like if we're going to have these random Monday Night Raw main events built up for 3 weeks, we need the time to make it feel like a main event. And if we only just went right into the last monster standing match between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed without the car spot, without them going through the wall, without them doing everything that they did on the build up to this, the match probably isn't a main event. It's probably literally just a middle of the card forgetful nothing match. So the extra hour is going to help them out a lot when it comes back, but fingers crossed that the 2 hours isn't going to impact the actual show too much. All I can say though is I'm very excited for Netflix. Serious conversations need to be had about Chad Gable being one of the best in the world. I do think a lot of people see Chad Gable as one of the top workers in professional wrestling right now. Everybody was so behind him when he was around that IC title picture, and it feels like a damn shame that the only reason he didn't win it was because they had this feud with the Wyatt Six eventually to happen. And don't get me wrong, the Wyatt Six versus American Made was a great feud for TV, but it ended up costing us a hot feud between Otis and Gable, and it also ended up costing Chad Gable's run towards the IC title. The fact that he's now just building up a new faction as opposed to being around a championship does kind of sting. He is one of the best in the world, and he is making American Made work. Like, it is a great faction for Monday Night Raw. That will probably get him back towards a championship in the near future. But for now, it is very unfortunate that he has done such great work and not been rewarded for it. I know not everybody can win the IC title, and we had to wait 14 years for for Jey Uso to win the IC title, that I understand that Gable just has to wait his time as well. But man, oh man, he's so good in that ring. He's so good as a character. His faction is amazing. Like, I'd be putting him over on Friday Night SmackDown and letting him run around the United States title picture, because that is just a championship that is made for American Made. Can you picture Chad Gable, the United States champion, with American Made by his side? Whew, that's money. I'm tired of this 5-match PLE rule on shows that aren't Mania or SummerSlam. Gunther versus Sammy should be happening at Bad Blood, not on Monday Night Raw. I get not wanting to make it too long, but adding one match wouldn't do that. Instead, they put the world title on a random episode of Raw. This is a common complaint within the world of wrestling, that WWE is not putting enough matches on their PLEs. And while it's a valid concern, I don't really find it that big of a deal. If WWE envisions a card with 5 matches on it, then they are going to deliver for those 5 matches. And if every pay-per-view that we have seen with the 5-match card rule, it's been excellent. We've seen so many good things from these PLEs. Why would we change it? It is making Monday Night Raw more must-see. It is making Friday Night SmackDown more must-see. I mean, hell, we just had Last Monster Standing match on Monday Night Raw, and we've got a triple threat ladder match this Friday on SmackDown. Those are both PLE-worthy events, but the fact that they're going to be the main events of their TV shows makes the TV show feel must-see. Like, I know this as a kid, I wasn't able to watch all the premium live events or pay-per-views back then that WWE put on, simply because my parents weren't going to shill out the $70 Canadian to buy the shows. And like, why would they? That's ridiculous. That's such an expensive price. So I relied on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown to be my main shows that I watched. I needed big time matchups on those shows because I didn't get to see the really big matches on the pay-per-views. So when you would get a steel cage match, when you would get a last man standing or a Falls Count Anywhere or a street fight match on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, it felt really good as a kid. And I guarantee there are kids out there right now who are not able to watch the pay-per-views. I guarantee that there are adult fans who are not able to watch the premium live events. They either can't afford it, they don't have the subscription to Peacock, or whatever it may be. There are people out there who only watch the TV shows, and WWE has found a way to deliver great TV week in and week out and keep those fans entertained while still putting on great pay-per-view matches. The 5-card rule is not a bad thing, especially if it elevates your Raw and SmackDown shows. Now, I do understand the concern here with Sami Zayn and Gunther. It's for the World Heavyweight title, and it probably should be on a PLE, but I will just say hold your horses there. Let's see what happens next week on Monday Night Raw, because it could very well end up being just a beatdown. It could be Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser destroying Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw, pushing the actual title match back even further. And you got to remember, Survivor Series is in Canada. Sami Zayn is the most popular Canadian on the roster right now. It makes sense to maybe do Gunther versus Sami for the world title at Survivor Series. So that might still end up happening. So we'll see what ends up going down next week on Raw. Those were your hot takes. Let me know any other hot takes, bold predictions, you name it, thoughts on the show down in the comments below. And also, while you're down there, make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn those notifications on, and keep coming back every day, because I literally upload wrestling videos every single day. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.